Hey everyone, welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. All the juicy details are in this video, so stay tuned. And before we dive in, make sure to hit subscribe and share this with a friend who follows every twist in the celebrity world. Thank you. One of the most talked about headlines of the week has finally met its reply, and this time the answer came straight from the heart. Gokberk Yıldırım, who has been at the center of swirling allegations about cheating, broke days of silence to say the story people think they saw is not the story that actually happened. He didn't raise his voice, but he didn't flinch either. He simply said, with the kind of calm that only comes after a storm, that the truth looked different from the clips on everyone's phone. It all blew up last week. A short, shaky video, filmed at a lively venue, captured Gokberk in what appeared to be an intimate, serious conversation with a young woman seated close to him. The lighting was dim, the music was loud, and the camera angles did the rest. A few seconds of footage multiplied into 1,000 opinions. In mere minutes, multiple posts splintered across social media, and timelines exploded with the same looping clip. Some people insisted the evidence was spelled out frame by frame. Others argued you can't read a person's soul through a cropped shot and a rumor. As the debate grew harsher, every second of quiet from him fed the people who said his silence spoke louder than any denial. Last night, at an event for a brand he represents, the actor finally faced the microphones. The tension in the room was almost physical, that peculiar blend of curiosity and judgment that follows anyone who is loved by many and watched by even more. When he stepped onto the carpet, his face carried a fatigue that a camera can't hide. And then, unexpectedly, his eyes glossed with emotion. He cleared his throat and chose words carefully, like someone laying down fragile glass. He said the situation had been twisted by perspective. He said people were assigning intentions to an image that never told the full story. Here's how he set the record straight, without theatrics and without throwing anyone under a bus. He told the press the woman everyone had seen was his childhood friend, someone he'd known for years. He explained that the conversation was brief and personal, not romantic, and that the moment looked different in a clip stripped of context. He emphasized he could not accept being labeled a betrayer, not when the premise was wrong. And then he drew a line. He said that whether he is in a relationship or not is not a detail he owes anyone on demand. He asked that private boundaries be respected, his, and those of the people he cares about. When he said that, the room changed. Reporters who had practiced pointed questions paused, as if they had all felt the exact same drop in temperature. Maybe it was the restrained ache in his voice. Maybe it was the sight of a man trying to protect someone who wasn't even there to speak. Because hovering over this entire episode is the shadow of one very real person, Cemre Arda. Their names have been linked for a long time, even when they don't confirm it outright, even when they choose silence over theatrical declarations. The two are known for keeping their love life away from the spectacle, and that very distance has always been the fuel that keeps gossip engines humming. According to people close to the situation, the fire got out of hand precisely because of that choice. For years, both Gokberk and Cemre have refused to turn their relationship into a parade. They show restraint in public, they post carefully, and they reveal very little on social media. It is their way of protecting something delicate. But in the climate of constant speculation, their privacy has worked against them. When nothing is said, everything is assumed. When everything is assumed, even a harmless moment can be contorted into proof of betrayal. And in a culture of association, where two people in the same frame are instantly assigned a narrative, the smallest flicker becomes a blaze. A well-known tabloid commentator put it plainly during a live panel, with the level of fame that surrounds Gokberk, nothing is small anymore. A glance can be a headline. A laugh can be interpreted as confession. A pause becomes guilt. It's the price of visibility, the pundit said, and it does not care how much truth is lost in the shuffle. Their words resonated because everyone knew they were right. The clip didn't show the beginning or the end, just a fragment, yet it was enough to breed certainty in people who wanted the story to be dirty. Behind the scenes, a close friend of Gokberk spoke to us without revealing a name. The friend described him as shaken, not because he cannot handle criticism, but because of what it does to trust. He feels wounded, the friend said, when ordinary, loyal friendships become ammunition in a war he never sought. He is not naive about how the game works, but it stings to watch sincerity be dragged through the mud. The hardest part for him, they added, is knowing that people judged his character on a moment that says nothing about who he is behind closed doors. Those around Cemre say she has been quiet on purpose. There is no dramatic post from her, no cryptic caption, no clapback hidden in a story. Her silence is not confirmation of anything, it's her way of staying dignified. People who know her describe a woman who prides herself on strength and grace, someone who values work, family, and genuine bonds over spectacle. She does not want to be forced into defending a private truth just because a stranger's video invited her name into it. So, for now, she has chosen to stay still and let the noise pass over. And yet, despite the calm with which both are handling it, everyone understands the reality: the internet does not do patience. The story was already on every timeline long before the facts arrived, and the facts never go as viral as the fiction. Even now, after his statement, arguments rage under every post about whether the visuals are definitive. Some insist the footage cannot be misread. Others say a cropped image is not a confession. The great divide continues, and within that divide live the expectations people project onto those they watch but do not truly know. What changes now is tone. After last night, the wave of outrage began to lose force. People who were ready to condemn paused long enough to breathe. Some even apologized in the comments, admitting they had rushed to conclusions. Plenty still remain skeptical, demanding more proof, more angles, more clarity. But even among them, the language shifted. It moved from accusation to curiosity, from certainty to questions. That is what a measured response can do. It does not silence the chorus entirely, but it changes the key. In his remarks, Gokberk also spoke about choice, the right to reveal, the right to keep certain things personal. He did not say Cemre's name, but he didn't need to. Everyone heard it between his words. He spoke as a person determined to protect someone else's peace as much as his own. And he made it clear that if there is love in his life, it is not a toy for public consumption. That sentiment drew a line between him and the feeding frenzy and reminded the room that a famous face is still attached to a private heart. The aftermath will take time to settle. We might see different angles of the same night emerge. There could be statements from people who were present. The so-called other side might speak up and confirm what he said or try to twist it. A detailed comment from the woman in the video could turn the tide again, either easing suspicion or making it worse. Or, perhaps, nothing more will come out, and the frenzy will starve without new fuel. For the moment, what remains is simple: he insists there was no betrayal, just a scene misread by those who watched it from afar. He also stayed off his socials the entire time, and that silence only deepened the mystery. Fans who followed both him and Cemre noticed the quiet and worried about what it meant. Some said they could read pain in his absence, others said silence can be the most dignified reply when outrage is screaming. Last night's event was the first time in ages he let a window open into his private life, and the vulnerability of it surprised many. It has always been his way to let the work speak louder than the noise, but this moment asked for something else. He gave it, even if it clearly cost him. Friends say the wave that hit him was not only a misunderstanding but also a crack in the trust he places in the world outside his circle. If a simple conversation with a friend can be weaponized, how do you step into a public space without bracing for impact? That is the question hounding many who live where he lives. At the intersection of fame and expectation. Still, they say he is resolute. He wants to move ahead, to focus on the projects he cares about, to put his energy into craft and into friendships that have stood the test of time. The sadness people saw in his eyes was real, but so was the steadiness underneath it. In the pages and feeds that live on gossip, the shift was immediate. Headlines that had sounded certain softened, some outlets walked back their phrasing. You could feel the recalibration in real time. Even so, the conversation didn't end. It never does. People still asked for more. They wanted to know what Cemre thinks, what she said to him when the lights went off and the cameras went home. They wanted to hear if she believes him, if the trust between them is intact. Those questions may not get answers, not because there are none, but because the answers are not ours to take. A few fans left comments that cut through the noise, reminding each other that if there is one thing both Gokberk and Cemre have consistently demonstrated, it's discipline about their boundaries. They have always kept their private life as polished and protected as their professional lives. The people who admire them most know this and choose to let that be enough. But the internet is not always made of people who admire. It is also made of detectives, performers, judges, and juries. In that world, a whisper can sound like thunder. What this episode truly highlighted, for anyone paying attention, is the fragility that comes with being watched. How a camera's lens can bend a moment into a misleading shape. How quickly a story can sprint away from its truth. Even in setting the record straight, he offered more than a defense, he set down a principle. That principle became a message to fans and press alike. Protect the spaces that allow people to be human, to make room for nuance, to allow conversation without turning it into spectacle. In that way, his words were not just a rebuttal, they were a call to handle private lives with care. Whether new information emerges or the noise fades, one thing is clear, he has explained what he could explain, without tearing anyone down. He refused to feed the fire. He refused to turn grief into performance. In a tabloid cycle that often rewards the loudest reaction, he chose restraint and asked to be believed on the strength of his character. And because of who he is and how he carries himself, and because of the respect many hold for Cemre, a great number of people have decided to give him that belief. As for the two of them, the image that lingers is not of a scandal, but of a couple who have always chosen privacy over applause. It is likely they will keep choosing the same, learning from this flare-up without allowing it to script their future. The world will keep watching, that is the cost of being them. But watching is not the same as knowing, and knowing is not the same as understanding. If this week taught anyone anything, it is that a camera does not tell the whole truth, and a rumor is not a confession. For now, the only certainty is the one he offered, there was no betrayal. Only a moment seen through the wrong lens. This brings us to the end of our video on Turkish Spotlight secrets. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the video with friends who follow every twist and turn. See you next time and take care.